What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bryant Land Show. I am your host, AB3. Thank you for taking the time to come through. Check out what we got going on, man. Real quick before we get into what we got going on today, make sure you guys are subscribing on YouTube, Bryant Land. That's where you can watch the podcast, watch this video. Make sure you subscribe, Bryant Land on YouTube. And then make sure you subscribing, liking, passing along, telling everybody about the podcast. If you just want to listen to it the traditional way, you can do that on Apple, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Google Play, all the outlets where you can get podcasts that you can get the Bryant Land Show. So just make sure you guys are subscribing, passing the word, telling people, letting folks know every other Tuesday. So I know before, you longtime Bryant Land listeners, you OGs, I know y'all were looking forward to get the podcast every Monday like clockwork. But right now, had to switch it up, had to change some things. Every other Tuesday, so every other week on a Tuesday morning when you wake up on that drive to work, when you're getting on the treadmill, when you're getting in that workout, getting ready for whatever you got going on in your day or whatever you're preparing for, go ahead, listen, pop the Bryant Land Show on, listen to the podcast. Or you got some time, man, call up the YouTube app on your big screen, on the big 70-inch you got, throw some steaks on the grill, deer steaks, you feel me? Throw some deer steaks on the grill and pull up the Bryant Land Show on YouTube, man, on your big screen or whatever, you do it on your phone, on your iPad, whatever, man. Just make sure y'all consuming this content I'm putting out here for y'all. So just wanted to let y'all know about that real quick. As for today, I got Sonya and Necota from Staples and Tents. We're going to talk about camping. We're going to talk about off-roading, just relationships, all kind of stuff, man. So kick back, listen, enjoy, kick back, watch. Most of all, like I said, consume, enjoy. Here we go, my conversation with the good folks from Staples and Tents. All right. Really excited because I get a chance to talk to some folks who are out here off-roading, camping, open my mind and, make me a intellectual, if you will, learn more about this camping thing. Like I like the off-road. I like getting in the mud and stuff, but I'm looking forward to learning more today with Sonya and Necota Staples, not the Staple Singers, but the Staples. But they're going to take us there about off-roading, overlanding, and everything. Sonya and Necota, thank you for joining the Bryant Land Show. How are y'all today?
Thank you, Adam. It is a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Yeah, and we're doing well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right now we're
awesome. So you guys, now I want to make sure I get this straight. Are you guys based in Atlanta or were based in Atlanta at one point? Or like, because I know like when we were talking before, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina over here with me. But so are you guys based in Atlanta still, or are you drifters, nomaders, so to speak, or like what y'all got going on?
Yeah, we've become nomadic.
Okay.
We lived in Atlanta for 20 years. We moved there shortly after college for both of us. Went to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
I ain't gonna hold that against y'all. I mean, even though I'm a Gamecock, I'm still a South Carolinian, so the Bulldogs were always second in my heart next to my Gamecocks. But yeah, that's cool. A&T. I got some family that graduated from agriculture and technical. Or agriculture. Yeah, agriculture and technical.
You had it right.
Good. It's all good.
Yeah, A&T.
Okay.
So after college, we both moved to Atlanta, and we stayed there for about 20 years. And around 2016. We really started getting super serious about camping. And
no, we discovered it.
Well, yeah.
And got serious about it at the same time.
So, okay.
And now.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, now we are full-time overlanding, but we still have our home in Atlanta. We leased it out, and now we're just going to go and travel, see the world. Or as much of it as our four-wheel drive vehicle will take us.
Exactly.
There you go. So it opens up so many questions. I'm gonna get into overlanding in a minute because I didn't know what that was. Like I had to go look that up. So we're gonna get into that in a second.
We did too.
So y'all met in college. Growing up, like y'all backgrounds, like I said, Virginia, North Carolina. Were y'all in the outdoors? Were y'all outdoorsy? Like were y'all introduced to it as like at a young age? Like any kind of hunting, fishing, anything like that? ATV riding, anything?
You want to take that one?
Well, I'll start with me, and Sonya can share her own story. But yeah, I'm a free range kid. I grew up in rural Virginia, doing all of the country boy stuff. So hunting, trapping. We didn't have ATVs. We just had bicycles and fishing. All of the things that country boys do was my life. And I didn't know it at the time. You're a kid. All you want to do is go out into the woods and go run it down to the creek and see how far you can go down, that kind of thing, or ride your bike down it, whatever it was. But those were the things that brought me happiness when I was a kid. And it wasn't until I became an adult that it all sort of went away.
Yeah, and then for me, I kind of grew up in the suburbs. So I went outside, but it was more for like participating in sports. I ran track as a kid. So pretty much my whole summers were spent outside. And then as a younger kid, it was just more outside chores, raking leaves, tending to the garden, hanging clothes on the line, stuff like that. So the relationship with the outdoors definitely wasn't as it is as a kid like it is now.
Gotcha. Okay. So come together, like I say, meeting college, you got like kind of similar backgrounds, but a little bit different. What made you guys, once y'all got together, say, okay, we're going to start camping, and then we're going to take this camping thing and turn it into overlanding? So like with the camping, like once y'all got together, what was like, I know your background, Necota, did you have to drag her outside and like, hey, this is really cool, like come on with it? Like how did that go?
But it was actually quite the opposite.
Okay.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, quite the opposite. So we were in a really tough part in our marriage. We had pretty much hit the rocks, was on the road to divorce. And I didn't do camping, bro. It just wasn't my thing. Once we moved to Atlanta, we lived downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, we were just city people.
Yeah, and I'm out rolling with my boys. We're going to clubs. We're going to theater, art galleries.
We were just
music,
doing city people. Doing city stuff.
Yeah, we're doing city stuff, bro. The furthest thing from my mind was camping, but we had gone into this dark space within our marriage, and we were seeing a counselor, and on the brink of divorce, counselor threw it in as a last-ditch effort. How about you guys just say yes to each other for like the next 90 days, 3 months or so, and just see where it goes? And somewhere in there, Sonya asked if we could go camping.
Right. I would go camping periodically with my best friend, but it was more like a girl's thing. And I don't know if Necota was never interested or if he was never invited. I'm not really certain at this point, but we got to the point where we had the opportunity to go camping with some other friends. And I was like, how about let's go camping? And Necota was like, yeah, I don't know about that. And it was like, oh, but right, I'm supposed to be saying yes. So he said yes. We borrowed my friend's camp gear, and, we made our camping trip what it was. It started off really rocky.
It was tough. It was hard as hell, bro. That's what it was. Wasn't nothing easy about it. Look, bro, we were on the brink of divorce, and I had just bought a midlife crisis car, a fire ass BMW 650 Grand Coupe.
It was nice.
It was butter.
It was white,
Import edition, all of the things, bro.
And I was mad about it.
Right. And she's like, we're going to go camping, but we got to use your car, the one that you just bought.
Because I had a 2-door sports car. So, clearly you can't take a 2-door sports car with a bunch of gear camping.
But so you're going to take a luxury car?
Yeah. That was the solution. Take my car.
It was bigger. Brian, Adam, do not take his side. You're supposed to be impartial.
I'm going to tell you, like I've told every married friend that I have, I don't know anything about marriage. I will be 45 in August. I have never been married. If you want to stay married, don't talk to me about marriage. I'm not the guy. So,
don't listen to that.
Yeah. So leave me. So I am a listener, and I just interject logic every now and then. So if you got a luxury car and a 2-door car, I mean, I guess the luxury car, if you don't have the option to rent something or borrow somebody else's. But again, this is y'all's story. I'm just the mediator.
So Adam, just a little more context. It was a 2-door Z4, BMW Z4, or a 4-door 650 Grand Coupe. Yeah, one's bigger than the other.
A little luxury car and a big luxury car.
Yeah.
Okay.
But nonetheless, he was mad.
I was hot about that. And we get to my boy's house. And I'm thinking we're going to be camping out in the woods nearby where his family's property was. It was in Wadmalaw, South Carolina, which is just a little bit south of Charleston.
Yep.
So you should get well.
Yep.
So roll up. It's dark. It's been raining. It's March, and the wind is blowing, and it's cold.
It's a little muddy.
And I'm having to pitch this tent
in the dark.
Bro, I was in my feelings. I was straight up in my feelings.
Well, wait a minute. So what, Sonya? What was you doing? Was you in the car, just like waiting for the tent to go up? Like, was you out there? Like, what was you doing?
Oh, I was pitching the tent right with him, and actually, I was the only one that knew how to pitch the tent.
Yeah.
So.
What we doing here?
So I'm handling business, you know.
I was like, there's these poles.
Right.
What do you do with them?
Yeah, so you know, I knew what to do, you know, tried to give some direction on pitching the tent or whatever. And we really did have a great setup because we borrowed gear from our friend, great tent. We had our bathroom set up, comfy bed, made it as nice as comfortable as possible. But it didn't matter because we were out there in his luxury car in the wet, in the rain, and it didn't matter. And he woke up the next morning with that same attitude.
I went to sleep with my fist balled up.
He was ready. He was ready. Like bear, something show up, Bobcat. He was ready. I ain't mad at you.
Ready. I'll stay ready. But you know, the next morning he was still in the space, and I'm like, okay, you can choose to be in this space and not enjoy the moment, or you can literally choose to be happy, you know, in this moment, in our marriage, whatever. And I think at that point, he went in the corner and ate his Snickers bar and kind of shook it off and was really able to enjoy the trip for what it was worth. You know, I think a lot of times we walk into things and we don't want to have a good time, and our own emotions prevent us from having a good time. But if we go into it open-minded and receptive and prepared, you can have an amazing time.
Well,
and we did.
First of all, let me just say that congratulations on marriage, first of all. How long have y'all been married, been together, been married?
It was 19 in August.
Yeah, it'll be 19 years next month.
Wow, 19 and that.
Been together. Yeah, we were together about 5 years before that.
Okay. That's awesome. So first of all, let's applaud, round of applause for that. Second, just to have the open mind, to be open to working through, you know, whatever your problems were. You got to the part, because I had it lined out where I wanted to get to that, because reading through the notes, I saw where it said like saved y'all marriage. And I was like, wow, okay. First of all, that's awesome that you're even like open to sharing that story with somebody, with other people, because that could possibly help, you know, other marriages or relationships that are strained or in turmoil or whatever the case is. So it could be, you know, helpful to someone else. But there's just the fact that camping saved y'all marriage. I mean, it's awesome to me. Like I can honestly say, like, just knowing different people who've gone to marriage counselors and done different marriage counseling and type of things, I've never heard that as a solution. Like, oh, y'all should go fishing together. Oh, y'all should go hunting together. Oh, y'all should go camping together. Like that's an awesome solution. And clearly by y'all sitting here today, it worked.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not going to say that the therapy didn't work. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time in therapy, and it really got us to the point where we were at that point where we had to say yes to each other, and therapy introduced the idea of that experience. But even now, when we have issues in our relationship, we fall back on the things that we learned in therapy. So I will not be ignorant or cocky enough to say it was just camping, because there are a lot of tools that we utilize in therapy. And we put in a lot of work and still are putting in a lot of work. But with camping, it really allowed us the space that we needed. It set the tone for us to go out, kind of change roles, see each other differently, value each other differently, and then just kind of learn to listen to each other. Because it's hot, it's rainy, whatever the issue is, if you're outside and the goal is to put up the tent, we don't have time to be arguing right now. We need to get through whatever issue we're having for this common purpose, because we need a place to stay tonight. And I think just changing the perspective a little bit on what was important, being outdoors, I think kind of did that for us. Would you agree?
I think, yeah, I mean, it more or less the same philosophy is really what it was. For what I saw taking place when we were camping was a opportunity for us to have a common goal. You know, you're broken down to some very elemental points when you're camping. You got to erect your shelter, you got to build a fire, you got to get your food cooked, and then you got to put away all of the gear so that you don't attract any animals. And all of those things are, in a sense, some survival skill sets. And inside of that, because Sonya had been camping, she was far more experienced than I was. I had to lean into her being the tent master, or that's what I refer to her as, because I was looking to her for leadership on where we needed to put a tent and what she thought were the right ways to erect the tent. So we stayed in that space, and I just always yield to her. When we go somewhere, it's like, hey, you're the tent master, what do you think we should do? So when we started moving about with different roles and responsibilities, we started being more collaborative, and we started finding more peace and tranquility, because we're going out there not to survive or whatever. We were going out there to chill.
Yeah, because we were glampers.
We're going out there to chill out to the most. You know, we want to be cool. We want to relax. We want the hammocks out. You know, it's hammock time. And it's like, how fast can we get this campsite built up so that we can get in the hammocks, pour some wine, pour some drinks, get some smoke, whatever it is that we're going to do to get into our space. And that was essentially the space that we were always pushing towards.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a big team building activity.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, every time. And even still now.
Yeah, you took the word right out of my mouth. I was just getting ready to say it was just like the ultimate team building activity, because you're talking about your survival. I mean, on a lesser level, you're talking about your comfortability, or you can. I guess those two can be interchangeable depending. You survive and be comfortable. So yeah, it's important. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's the ultimate team building activity. So before I get into overlanding, you said something that kind of jumped out at me as well. Glamping. It's a new term. Well, relatively new term. Because when you think about camping, you think about roughing it. You're outside, in the elements and all that stuff like that. Is it just part of like your personality? Like you wanted to be outside and you wanted to go camping, but you still wanted to have them comforts. Like, I talking about smoking cigars, being in the hammock, drinking wine and stuff like that. Like, was that like, were you guys on board with that from the beginning? That, you're going to be comfortable and have fun, or you just want to get down and dirty, like base level?
Yeah, from the beginning. It's
he's like,
yeah, from the beginning, we wanted to be comfortable. And I think that started with my experiences camping with my friend, because, we had the tents, we ate nice food, we slept as comfortably as, we knew at the time. So where Necota and I started, our entry point was kind of high, because we understood kind of what that comfort level looked like. We knew the experience that we wanted to create for ourselves. And that's what we did. And that's really what we encourage now. So whatever you need to get outdoors and be comfortable and make it happen for you, do it. If you need all the blow up furniture, do it. You know, be as comfortable as you want to be, as much stuff as you can carry, as much stuff as we could carry in that little luxury car, we did. And now that we have bigger Land Cruisers,
we carry a lot.
We carry more.
So
but you know,
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that I think the difference between glamping and camping is surviving and thriving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, camping is built around the concept of survival. I think glamping is more along the lines of thriving. You know, and its ambiance. You know, what are you bringing out with you that makes it so much more comfortable? You bring in portable speakers. Some people bring TVs, lights, all of the things to make it a party if you want. Those are more the things on the glamping side. In addition to food, type of food that you might be bringing. Those early years, we didn't go out unless we had something expensive on the dinner menu. You know, if it's lobster, if it's steak, it's
okay.
Yeah, like Necota didn't even really eat steak at the time, but he was like, "Oh, I'm going camping. I'm gonna get me a nice T-bone. Let's grill some lobster. Let's grill some shrimp," and it was great.
Yeah, it was really built around having a good time while we're there, because you know you're already subjecting yourself to just whatever the environment is going to be, and you don't have all of your creature features that you have at your house. So what are some things that you can simply add or bring with you that can make it so much more elevated of a camping experience? And that's how you get into glamping.
Man, see that. I think if that had been my introduction when I was younger, I was a Boy Scout. And we did the whole camping, we dug the latrine, we put the tents up, like we did the whole nine. But here's where it fell off the cliff, right? So instead of, you know, like we go fishing, catch our own fish and all this stuff, we had KFC boxes. No lie. We did from KFC. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, we're doing all this, you know, we digging the latrine, we clearing out leaves, building the camp, getting the fire. And then we break out like these boxes of KFC chicken. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not how this is supposed to be done. Like, we're Boy Scouts. Like, we're supposed to be out here like roughing it or whatever. So, but as I've, you know, gotten better and learned and just, you know, observed more people camping and getting out in the outdoors and stuff, I think it's awesome that, you know, people have found a way to kind of like bring, like you say, those creature comforts with them while being able to still enjoy the outdoors. Because if you believe sometimes I call it rhetoric and noise and stuff, if you believe all of that stuff where it's just like, just get outdoors, okay, we're gonna get outdoors, we're gonna be comfortable, but we're gonna get outdoors. So you can't knock anybody for how they get outdoors. So
yes, but I can say I had a very similar experience to you as a kid camping. I camped one time. I was 14 at a summer camp. We had lean-tos. It was raining. Something, I don't know what it was, bit me on my thumb. It was a horrible experience. And I was like, I'll never do this again. We weren't prepared to do what I needed to do to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times people focus on getting outdoors, but they don't focus on the planning and the preparation that it takes to get you there. And like most things, if you haven't planned and you're not prepared for it, you might fail and you probably won't enjoy yourself. And camping is the exact same way. And that's one of the reasons that we created our event, The Gathering, is to allow a safe space where people can come and learn about camping, overlanding, outdoor activities, so that when they go to do it on their own, they're more comfortable, they're more confident in their skills, and then just the atmosphere and the other people sharing their stories, they're inspired and more curious about going outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah. Before we get to the gathering, that's twice. So I got this thing lined out. Now it's a story. We building a story. No, I'm sorry. I'm totally
Let me
messing
get
with
my
you.
place.
No, I'm totally messing with you. This is about y'all. Like I want to know more about y'all, and I want to get y'all's message out there. So no, I'm thoroughly just messing with you. But overlanding, that was the thing that jumped out on the page to me. Like you look at your Instagram and like all the notes and stuff that I was sent, and overlanding like just jumped off the page, and I had to go Google it. I was like, overlanding, like, okay, what is that? Like, I know what a blogger is, I know what a camper is, like, but overlanding. So and now I know, because like I said, I went and Googled it. First of all, what is overlanding? Second of all, how did you end up meshing the two parts that make up overlanding?
Mm-hmm.
So overlanding is essentially vehicle-dependent travel. You use your vehicle as an extension of your living space. So you have kitchen system, bathroom system, sleep systems, any of the kind of things that you would need for a camping experience, but it's part of the vehicle. And you're traveling. And in its true essence, when overlanding was originally done, and you can think of it sort of like, you've seen those National Geographic shows where they show the African safari trucks. So the whole impetus of it was really in Australia and Africa, where they were taking seriously long trips across the continents, and they needed the trucks to be built out to get them to the other side, so to speak.
To help sustain themselves.
Right. So you have to be self-sufficient to be in an overlanding vehicle. The other caveat to overlanding that's sort of being lost in present interpretation is the cultural immersion aspect of it. Back in the day, overlanding was more along the lines of being in a culture that was different from your own and learning more about those people as you travel. So the two together, or the three legs of it, the vehicle dependent, the travel, and then cultural immersion, are the components that I think make up what overlanding really is.
Yeah.
And then for us, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It just spawned another question, because when you say like the vehicle and being self-sufficient and stuff, does that require like a certain amount of customization in order for you to have everything? Like, can you go out and buy these vehicles already ready? Because like I heard you say, like, what Land Rover or Toyota that you guys
Land
have right
Cruiser.
now, Land Cruiser. Yeah. So like, does it come with that stuff already, or is there a certain amount of customization that goes into that, or?
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the overlanding has been lost, because a lot of times you look at overlanders and they have these big souped up vehicles, but the focus really needs to be on the travel aspect and not the vehicle. There are people who overland in Corollas, when we were bicycles, wherever they can fit their stuff in, vans, everything.
Yeah, so it's really left up to the individual and how they want to experience the journey, and whatever that might mean for them. Yeah. And then, you might buy yourself a base model vehicle, and it's like, okay, what are the things on it that I have to have to ensure that I can get to where I'm going? Fortunately for us, in modern times, a lot of the road systems that are now in place in almost every country that we've traveled is sufficient enough to support a Corolla. So you really don't need to have these really tricked out trucks that you see a lot of people driving in the overland world. You don't need all of that. It's just a matter of knowing that you're wanting to take a very long trip to some other country and experience who they are as a people.
Yeah, and you think just like with camping, there are all different forms of camping. There's the extreme with the glamping, where they have all the things, and then there's the backpacker that's super minimalist and they carry everything on their back. So you think if you don't mind the type of camping where you carry everything on your back, then you could absolutely do a bicycle or a motorcycle and pack everything into the little, saddlebags or whatever. So it really is overlanding, camping, it's all the same. What are your limits and what's going to make you comfortable and have the best experience for you?
Where do y'all fall in between the bare minimalist and like the glampers? Like, is there
Ryan, you're not listening to us. Adam, I'm sorry.
We're I would consider us in the middle.
Okay.
think
See,
so?
Yeah.
that's why I asked that.
You know what? You're right, because they're the Unimog people. They're extreme.
So there's the Unimogs are these huge half or full 2-ton trucks, 3-ton trucks,
Okay.
that essentially almost have like a trailer off the back of it,
Yeah, you
all the
can
way
put-
down to people who are on bicycles or motorcycles more often than not.
Right.
Every now and then you hear about somebody traveling across the continent on a bicycle, but not nearly as frequently as you hear a motorcyclist, you know?
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
Wow.
I take it back. You're right. We are in the middle because like there are people at Unimogs and they have a whole like apartment in their vehicle. You know, like you go to IKEA and they have a space if you have 300 square feet and you
Yep.
need a full studio. There are people who have put an IKEA designed studio apartment in a Unimog vehicle and they travel the world.
and they dope.
And dope.
Wow.
But yeah, so yeah, we're
But
middle of the road.
each form of travel comes with its own set of limitations on where
Okay.
you can go,
Okay.
and it just needs to be accounted for. You know, what is it that you want to do? For us, we like to go to really remote locations where there aren't going to be a lot of people, and that oftentimes require a 4-wheel drive, high clearance vehicle. So although somebody could be like, hey, I'm going to take my Camry and I'm rolling with y'all, it might get to a point where they're like, hey, I'm going to stay at the hotel and I'll see y'all in a day or two when y'all get back from the other 20, 30 miles.
Yeah, or they may have to take a different route around because they can't take the more direct adventurous route.
Yeah.
You know.
But we like the adventure part of it. We love the off-roading part of it. And we have outfitted the truck to ensure self-recovery. Because when you're off-roading or you're in these really remote locations, nobody's coming to get you. You know, we've been in places where the only access would be a helicopter. And it might be an hour or two before it could even get to you after you've made the call.
Yeah, so then, you know, of course, when we go to remote places like that, we take extra precautions like satellite devices, you know, GPS communicators, things like that, because we don't, I mean, although we try to be as safe and cautious as possible, we understand that you could get in a position. So we want to be able, you know, do whatever we can to make sure we can get out of that position.
You don't want to die.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Completely
you know,
off the grid.
Yeah.
Completely off grid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Completely off grid.
Wow.
But you asked how we got there in terms of combining the things that we love. And what we didn't share is when we met in college, Necota and I, we always dreamed of traveling. Necota he's a little older than me. He's 7 years older than me. So he had traveled internationally to, you know, Korea and other places. And it was kind of just a dream of mine. I traveled a lot inside the country. But we always, from the day that we met, wanted to travel. And before we discovered camping and overlanding, we would travel as much as we could. And once we started camping, then got the Land Cruiser and discovered off-roading, which led us to overland. And we're like, okay, we can combine this new love of camping and our lifelong love of travel, you know? So we just started taking trips a little longer and longer. And in our vehicle, I think our first trip was like 3 weeks. We drove out to Flagstaff. And then the next year we shipped the vehicle to Colombia. We were down in Colombia, South America for about a month. And then,
not South Carolina.
No,
yeah. And,
no, but that brought something, that jarred something in me. I was going to ask, like, when you were saying, like, you know, you go overseas and these remote places and stuff like that, like, you just don't, I would assume you just don't go to a rental counter and say like, hey, like, give me, you know, a Corolla or whatever the case was. So that's why I was going to ask. So you guys have actually shipped your vehicle to other countries, or just in that case to Colombia?
Yeah, we shipped that. In that particular instance, we shipped our 97 Toyota Land Cruiser, Frank the Tank, to Colombia for, it was about 3 weeks for me, 3 or 4
you
weeks.
did 4. I did like 2.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we shipped it down there, and we were with a group on that one, but we did this fairly long tour of the country. We started in Cartagena and eventually made our way down to Medellin and then made our way back up. And it was an astounding country to see. The landscape, the people that were there, exceedingly kind, the coffee, the food. It was a really amazing experience, and really what elementally overlanding is. Because, you know, when you vacation, you go to these places, you don't really get a chance. Most often when we travel, especially as African Americans and how we were groomed in a sense, we travel to other cities, we travel to beaches, and if we go to another country, we're probably going to go to another city and a
or
beach.
another beach.
Yeah, so, you know, we really
Yep.
don't get a chance to be out in the more rural locations or areas that aren't considered touristy. But when you're overlanding, you have to go through all the little towns to eventually get there. And if you're unfortunate, or maybe perhaps fortunate, your rig might break down somewhere along the lines, and you have a seriously strong cultural immersion, culturally immersible moment.
Yeah. And, you know, Colombia was one thing. We did ship our own vehicle, but more recently we went to Southern Africa. We did South Africa, Namibia, Zambia, and Botswana, and we did rent a vehicle. When you go to countries that have a really outdoor overland focus, very much so in Southern Africa and a lot of East Africa and West Africa as well, they do have companies, not your regular Hertz or Avis, but they have companies where you can go and rent a fully equipped vehicle and have your own experience. So we were able to do some of the same things in Southern Africa that we did in Colombia, not just hit, you know, the Johannesburg and the Cape Towns, like when we previously traveled to South Africa, but we were able to see all the countryside.
All the small towns.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what was really amazing to that is in the cities, you know, we're Black Americans. It's not that special. But when you go into the more rural areas, you meet African people that have never even seen a Black American before. Like they've only heard about us.
Whole communities that are like the only, you know, it really is, and it wasn't just local to Africa, because we had the same experience when we were in Colombia and Mexico.
We did.
But we're talking to people, and everyone is saying that their only exposure to us is sports and television and movies. So if you can think about those three as how we are defined as African Americans, and then lo and behold, they come up and they meet us, you know, it's a very strong cultural moment for them as well. And there have been some riveting conversations that we've had, everybody crying kind of thing, because this experience is so unique for all of us, that we knew at that moment that we were ambassadors of our country and ambassadors of our culture. And that as we are traveling, we are paradigm shifting everyone that we're interacting with. So there's some gravitas to overlanding that was not really clear to us until we went to that Colombia trip.
And you know, the more and more we travel, I think the more and more we're enlightened. And it's not that Black people don't travel. You know, we absolutely do travel, but traveling to these remote locations is just something that hasn't been done a lot.
Or at all that we need.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been mind blowing. You know, we joked right before we started, we're all from the South and we all have a Southern twang. And we've had people to tell us, you know, you guys have the most perfect English ever. I've never seen a Black person speak English so well. And it's mind blowing.
Right. But when you don't have anything to like gauge it really against, it's like, you know, it's just like you said, it's mind blowing. It's amazing too, because like you say, you're going through like these small towns, and in my mind, as you're telling this story, like the only thing I can picture, and I don't, might not even be right, but I just picture you guys like going through like these little small towns and like the countryside, and little kids like running up beside y'all and stuff. Like when you stop, it's just like, well, like who is this? Like what are y'all doing? Like just being so intrigued and like awestruck, like when they see
kids and adults.
Kids and adults. It happened.
Kids and adults.
It happened. Where specifically in Namibia and Botswana, they're accustomed to these big souped up vehicles coming through because a lot of overlanders travel the routes that we travel. Okay. But it was very odd for them to see Black people get out of the car. We had this one guy tell us that he, in his 30 years, and this was a white German man, in his 30 years of living in Namibia, running this camp, he's only seen like 2 other Americans, that they came with like the 2 other Black Americans, and they came with the Peace Corps. But he had never seen anyone just on their own exploring the continent the way that we were.
Yeah, he was fairly well traveled in Namibia, even though he was German. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. Remarkable conversation.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm just blown away just like listening to this, because I familiarized myself with what overlanding is, but like to listen to you guys talk about it and listen to you guys talk about it like as passionately as you do, like I said, is just mind blowing. But here's the thing that I'm curious about too, and I think that everyone else would be curious about, especially when you're starting to get into it. Is it incredibly expensive? Like, is there like levels that you can start and kind of like dip your toe in the water, or like how does that work?
It can be incredibly expensive. I won't even lie.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing to do is decide what your budget is. Like if you do want an off-road vehicle, pick a budget and get something in that budget. Like I think when we bought our first Land Cruiser, we had like a $7,000 budget.
6, and she was pissed about the 6.
I was. we have 2 luxury cars already.
Where are we gonna park it?
Right, because we're living in downtown Atlanta in a condo. Yeah, 2 parking spaces. So in purchasing this 3rd vehicle, we then had to rent parking for it. So this is how deep, how slippery the slope got and how deep we slid.
Wow.
For it. But we bought something in our budget, and then we just drove the truck. We didn't immediately start modding it out because it was a very capable vehicle. And we didn't need anything else. So we drove it
for about a year.
Yeah.
Before we started doing the mods. And the mods were based on self-recovery.
Yeah, where we wanted to take it and really safety.
Yeah, it was keeping the truck, protecting the truck, and then making sure that we could recover it. Mm-hmm. Because I think right after we bought the Frank the Tank, I think it was like a week or 2 later, we took it up into the woods, and immediately within an hour and a half had it stuck, mud bogged, and couldn't get it out. And fortunately for us, the guy that sold it to us had left a snatch rope, which is just a long and flexible rope in the back of the truck. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know what it was. So, but as soon as the truck got stuck,
I was like, we got a rope.
I got a rope. I got a rope. But what I didn't have is something to put the rope against or tie it to until this guy came and sort of snatched us out.
Oh, wow.
And that was our first off-roading experience. So, and we went in like mad ignorant and incredibly cocky. And over the course of an hour and a half,
we got cockier and cockier.
Because we were going through more and more mud puddles. Right. And we're deeper and deeper into it. Nope.
Yeah.
And then it sunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, like, because when you say self-recovery, the first thing I think about is like a winch, skid plates, like all of that kind of stuff. Because even like with ATVing, when I first started ATVing, that was the first thing that I wanted, was like a winch. Because that first time that I got stuck in like this ginormous mud hole, and luckily there was a tree around, but when you get stuck and there's no trees around, nothing you can grab hold to winch yourself out, like you said, you're kind of at the mercy of like waiting for someone. What else is included like in your self-recovery? I mean, like I would assume more than one gas tank. or gas can?
So that's yeah. Eventually we went from jerry cans to having an auxiliary fuel tank added, and then on this most recent one, started with an auxiliary fuel tank so that we could cover that. And then the recovery stuff is essentially, you definitely, I think, want a good winch. But if you're just getting started,
Right.
I tell everybody it's super simple stuff. You need a rope, a snatch rope, a shovel. If you really want to get something, get some traction boards,
Right.
so that you can sort of slide up under the tires.
Yeah.
And let's say a flashlight and a few other little things. You could probably have some decent recovery gear for less than 150, $200.
Yeah, and then I think other simple things like a tire pressure gauge, of course you need to check the tires, but then a good key in getting unstuck is to deflate some of the pressure out so you have a little more surface area for traction. So if you're going to deflate your tires, then an air compressor, so you can inflate them back up at the end. And we typically carry like a little spare, the little jumper battery pack thing.
Oh yeah, always carry a battery jumper.
Yeah, and then
we carry the little electronic ones that come out, the no-cos, just enough to jump the truck off, because you never know, if you're going to need it or someone else is going to need it. But more often than not, those are considered critical pieces that can leave you stranded for way more longer than you need to be otherwise.
Yeah, and then just other, basic tools, having a few essential tools to work on your vehicle. And I think that's it.
Yeah, you don't need you
started.
Don't really need a lot. Radio, just a few things.
Take a friend so you have some help. We always advise to not go out on your own. We were really fortunate to have each other, and we like to work through issues together. And we, at the time, we just didn't have anybody else to go out with. But learning, getting started, find a friend, find a group, find a community where you can go out with, so you can have each other's back.
Yeah,
nice.
True.
Now, so you get to where you are now. You're documenting your adventures, pictures, video, YouTube, all that stuff, and you are running an event that, from everything that I saw, takes place twice a year, not once, but twice a year, called The Gathering. And who came up with that? What made you guys decide to put that event on? Like, how did all of that come together? And exactly, what is that, and how is it helping other people get into the outdoors?
So in 2020, we were on a cross-country trip. We were sitting on the side of a cliff in California, and we were both working. And I was stressed because I recently lost my sister. I was overwhelmed with work and, trying to get back on track. And I was like, Necota, I can't do this anymore. I was like, we're in this beautiful location. There's just way more stress than I need. So I resigned from my job actually that day. And I asked Necota for 2 years to try to, help grow Staples and Tents and create something. And, picked up started generating more content on YouTube. But, we talked, and it was like, there has to be more. And people always asked us, told us, it was like, we want to camp with you guys. We want to camp with you guys. Because what we realized is that it wasn't that people didn't want to go camping. They wanted to do it with people that they felt comfortable with, in an environment that they felt comfortable. So, because there was this need in the outdoor community, Necota and I, we kind of put our heads together and came up with the concept of The Gathering, because we definitely educate and inspire through our social outlets, but we needed that in-person experience to kind of close the gap. And The Gathering was created and came to be what it is. Last year, we launched the event, our inaugural event, in Crawfordville, Georgia, at a beautiful Black-owned property, and hosted about 120 people. And this year, it was pretty dope. Had tons of classes and workshops from other outdoor experts, so people aren't just learning from us.
They wanted it to be a communal kind of thing.
Yeah. And last year we got so much flack from people out west. It was like, well, what about us? So with us transitioning this year to full-time overlanding, where we rented out our condo downtown. We both have resigned from our full-time jobs now, and we're really trying to make it work. We decided to push ourselves and do 2 events. So this year we're doing one event in Colorado, August 18th through 22nd, and another in Hendersonville, North Carolina, which is right outside of Asheville, October 14th through 16th. So that's how that all started. And honestly, when we finished the event last year, we were really focused on our transition to full-time overlanding. And it was kind of a one-off thing for us, but it was so successful. And we realized that the need was real. And then we honestly got a few threats after the event. Like, if y'all don't do this again, we're going to come hunt y'all down and find y'all. So yeah, we decided.
We didn't want anybody hunting us down.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's the key to, that's a great sign of success right there. Where you got people clamoring for it and wanting it back and wanting more. That's when you know you struck gold. You're doing something right.
Yeah. We were very happy with the outcome. The people that came, it was a tremendous amount of positive energy the entire time. Everybody was there to help each other have a better time. The kids that came, I think we had about 20 kids. They were in hog heaven the entire time. The parents were in hog heaven because they didn't have to stress and worry about the safety of their kids. So very down home country cookout kind of vibe. Fish fry on Friday, barbecue on Saturday kind of mood. Really good music and a lot of really enduring workshops where we leaned into learning about camp cooking, how to start a fire. We had some Boy Scouts come out to teach us how to start fires and how to recreate responsibly. So navigation, we also, we were partnered with a number of companies that have invested in us, who also believe in the direction that we want the country to go in, which is to make the outdoors welcoming and inclusive to everyone. So they were there fully supporting us in this endeavor. So a really wonderful event. And this year we decided that it had to grow. We went scouting in a larger region to make it a little more geographically accessible to other people that were further north. So we settled on Asheville because it's an awesome location, beautiful mountains, and they also have a very lively outdoors community. And we landed with Reed Branch, which they are some really cool Canadians who brought the property a few years ago and have developed it into this wonderful, wonderful landscape with beautiful glass cabins. They have an RV trailer, a house, waterfalls, RV land. They got all the things.
Yeah, and I think to Necota's point, the way we designed the gathering is we want it to be a place where everyone can come. We understand that everyone is not into camping. Everyone's not comfortable sleeping outside. So both properties, the Colorado property and the Asheville property, they have a full array of options for accommodations. They're cabins, RVs. You can bring your own RV or you can bring your own setup. And then you can also rent like a glamping tent or a tent provided by one of our sponsors. So if you want to camp and don't have your own gear, we have an option for you too. The goal here is for us to meet you wherever you are in your outdoor journey and help elevate it, get you more comfortable, more confident, and more curious.
True. That's awesome. You guys sound like y'all are not on your way, you're doing it. You got this event, you guys are overlanding. Man, this has been an eye-opening experience for me. Like I really enjoyed talking to you guys because, like I said, it's just opened your mind to different things and stuff. I'm stone cold into, deer hunting. That's my thing. Like I cannot wait till deer season starts. I love to get on my ATV, ride, trails and ride through the woods and stuff like that. But you guys are going all across the world, seeing different sites in the world, meeting different people, just basically, like you said, being ambassadors, not only for the country, but being an ambassador for what you're building and for Black Americans. I mean, let's face it, you guys are a positive, ray of light, so to speak, when you go across.
Thank you.
I'm dead serious. Like, because you say, like, when you say, like, when you go overseas or you go out of the country and people say, like, well, the only reference of African Americans that they see is either sports, music, or entertainment. And obviously there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of those things. I mean, I've built my entire career in sports production, so there's nothing, wrong with that. But there's other things too. There are more things outside of that box. And you guys are obviously dedicated to showing folks that. So, but before I get you guys out of here, again, let people know where they can go for the gathering, where they can find Staples in tents, Black People Off-Road, all that. Hit them with everything, because y'all got a lot going on. So let people know.
Yeah, so Staples and Tents. Our last name is Staples, by the way, and we sleep in tents, INTENTS, and we're available on all social media platforms. Our website, staplesandtents.com, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is just Staples and Tents. And then if you want to help support the journey and make sure we can continue to go, follow, join our Patreon. Go on patreon.com/Staples and Tents and become a supporter. With that, you get all sorts of incentives, behind the scenes content and information, goodies, discounts,
first dibs.
Right. We sent postcards from Africa to our Patreons, really just to show that support. Thank them for their support. So follow along. You can learn more about the gathering at staplesandtents.com / the gathering something. I don't quite. Brian, I'll give you that that link to put below.
It'll be in the description and when I post this on YouTube and when it airs on whatever podcast platform you got. People listen to podcasts and stuff, all of those links and stuff will be in there as well. So I got you covered. I just like for people to shout it out as well, because like I said, you guys got, I get some folks come in and they got a couple of things and they got like their social media, but you guys have like a freaking empire like going on. Y'all got a lot of stuff and a lot of ways people can get at you. So that is awesome. I really appreciate y'all taking the time today.
Thank you, Adam, for reaching out. It's definitely a privilege to be on your show.